So I recently watched a really good movie called Knives Out, and I decided that since there's so many different like scenes in this movie, I thought that I would do a scene analysis. You can understand the terms with like filmmaking and you can practice with the camera as much as you want, but a really good way to learn new skills and how people do it in the professional world is by watching scenes over and over again and breaking them down to see how they help to progress the story along the way. So when you do a scene analysis, you want to pay attention to the characters, to the camera movements and angles, to any colors, color grading, motifs, and just like the space and the environment and the relationship to which the characters are with each other. If you have not watched Knives Out, this is gonna have a few spoilers, so I do recommend to watch it. So maybe you should watch it and then come back to my video and pop a like, and when you can analyze what am I saying? Let's go ahead and look right into the scene and see what we're gonna see. So this scene is the diner scene with Marta and Ransom, and they're discussing what or why he did what he did, and then Marta gets a phone call later on in the scene. So we're gonna take a look at each shot and see what the shots tell us about the character and where they are within the film. Alright, so first up, I want you to take a look at where the characters are in these next few shots, because I'm not gonna say it. I just want you to be able to see if you can break it down as much as possible. You should know that in big name films, especially the really good ones, nothing is on accident within a frame. So every frame is gonna tell you something about the characters. Nothing should be taken for granted within your scene. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first shot. We have Ransom here. He's wearing a white sweater. He has 4 alcohol bottles in the frame. Look at his background, look at the lighting, look at how he's lit, and look at him in relation to the camera. Take a second, pause the video, and see if you can get as much things and follow along with me. And if you catch more, you can go ahead to my website. The link is in the description below, and we can have a discussion on anything that I may have missed or that you want to talk more on there.
I know. You see.
In this shot, in this frame, we have Marta here. Look at the way that she's being lit, look at her background, look at the colors that are being put into this frame. Notice how these colors aren't in Ransom's frame. Look at the lighting, look at the bottles, and listen to what she's talking about.
True, and I think Blank's been on to me from the start. I don't care if I go to jail, but my mom, my sister,
So the first thing that she discusses is how she's feeling, right? So she doesn't care if she goes to jail. She wants to protect her sister and her mom from getting deported and possibly losing all of their chance of coming back to America. This puts a very good emphasis on her character, and who she is truly in the heart is a very compassionate and selfless person. She's willing to go to jail for murder in order to protect and keep her family's name out of it. Compared to all of the other characters where they have motives in the film that would make sense why they would kill Harlan, she doesn't have those motives, and it's kind of put there in place from beginning to the very end of the film. She's a genuine person who wants to help Harlan and really doesn't have any bad motives or any bad energy towards them. Taking that in mind and looking at what's going on in her background compared to Ransom's frame, where his background is open, there's the rest of the diner behind him. She's kind of at the back wall, and what that shows is that she's closed in. She's feeling closed in this moment where she doesn't really have an escape, boxed in. If you take the look at the colors, green and red are very prominent colors in the beginning of this film, and it shows once again here in this shot, in this scene. Green usually representing a sickly feeling. It can mean earthly, but I don't think it really means that in this film. I think it means sickness, uneasiness. And the red can represent anger or passion. And I think within this scene, uneasiness and anger is really the qualities that are showing the most from her right now. And if you bring that, if you take that, and then you also look at the lighting, the way she's lit in this frame, she is mostly dark. She's in shadow. And that's just showing that she's at a dark moment in her life right now. That she didn't commit murder, but she is covering up all of these things, and she's willing to go to jail and all of this stuff. And that's really showing with the lighting. She's not at her purest state right now. And like I said, look at the bottles, alright? So in Ransom's shot, there was 4 bottles. In this shot, there are 3. That's not on purpose, right? If you look at the shape of the bottles, it looks like a triangle, right? We have A, B, and C. So if you look at C is the one that is the furthest back, right? That's the point, the tip of the triangle. And that typically means power or a high point. And so in this scene, I think that the tip of the bottle, and I might go a little bit stretching here. I know the bottles aren't on purpose, so take this with a grain of salt. But I think with the scene, even though she's going through all of these emotions and she's feeling dark and she's feeling boxed in, she still holds a certain amount of power over Ransom, who has 4 random bottles and his glass beverage. Also look at the relationship from Marta and the camera. Ransom seemed to be farther away from the camera, but she's up close, and this is more personal. We're personal with her right now. We are feeling what she's feeling. We're empathizing with her. Whereas with Ransom, we're not really empathizing with him. It's not really about him. So let's go ahead and keep on going.
You gonna say something?
Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at Ransom. Let's go back to this. So like I said, there are 4 bottles in this scene. When people drink, they're usually feeling like they need to let go of anxiety, of any stress that they might be feeling, or they might be celebrating. And I think that could be applied to Ransom here. I honestly think that he's probably experiencing both of those emotions. He's probably feeling like he needs to let go of stress and anxiety, but he's also celebrating that his plan so far is coming together, and all it takes is for her to say, yeah, she agrees with him in this moment. And I also think that the 4 bottles was placed there so that in that previous frame, the 3 bottles showing can mean a little bit more. You're looking at that. Why not show all 4 of those bottles? Why not show none of those bottles? You showed 3 of those bottles. See what I'm getting there? And so if you look at the background of this frame, it's a lot more open compared to Marta's frame, right? So this openness means that he's feeling open, that he's feeling free in this moment. His plan is coming together. If she agrees to this, then he gets the money while his family gets nothing. And so that's what's going on here. And the lighting and his shirt, it all says the same thing, right? So white typically means pure. It means freedom. And that's what he's going through right now, right? He's feeling pure. He's feeling free. The light, like, he's getting scot-free, right? So she's the one that looks like a suspect. He doesn't have anything on him right now. At least that's what he thinks. So that's what he's feeling. And he's playing her off. The lighting is very bright. You know, you have bang, 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 1, 2, 3 lights in the background that are very prominent. And this is showing that he like I said, is just feeling light. He's feeling above her in this moment, that he is a savior for Marta right now. Yeah, let's go ahead.
What's going on? This isn't you. You could just turn me in right now and still get your cut of the inheritance.
Alright, so she starts to call him out. She said, this isn't you, what's going on? You can turn me in and get your cut of the inheritance. Which she's not wrong, right? This is kind of weird that you have this guy who doesn't care about his family, that doesn't care about her especially, right? The whole family doesn't technically care about her. And their motives really do show as the movie progresses, and he's just another one of them, right? So she calls him out, and when she picks this little piece of information up and says it to him, we get this very, very close-up shot of him. And now we're finally getting into him. We're seeing how he feels. And I think what's so good about this movie is that a lot of these shots can play for both points, right? Like, they play for the first time that you're watching it, and he says these words.
Because family.
His family are crappy people, and he's feeling that, right? And so now we have this close-up shot of that, and we're empathizing with him. But then when you watch the movie again and you know who the culprit is, now we see that that shot means in that moment that she got him, and he has to think quick. And so I think that was a really creative, I think that this movie does that a lot, man, a lot. So I think that's really creative. And now we have another close-up shot of hers, but hers is slightly closer than his, to keep us empathizing with her, right? So we have him, her, him, her, him, and then now we're breaking out of that. What breaks us out of that contest of empathy, of who's truly innocent and who's truly guilty in this moment? The phone call. And so now we get this great camera movement that takes her out of this restaurant into this moment, and I think that's brilliant. And now her face is blue, okay, and that means that there's something wrong. That means that it's cold, it's lifeless. There's something wrong in this exchange that's gonna happen. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at Meg. Meg is not lit very well, right? That means that her motives are not clear with this phone call. That just confirms what we said previously, right? She is gonna say something to Marta that isn't necessarily there to help Marta. So let's go ahead.
What are you gonna do?
She asked her what is she gonna do with the money, right? If you look at Marta, she's also being pushed to the side of the frame, meaning she's here looking this way rather than here looking this way, right? That also makes us feel a little bit uncomfortable.
I think you should give it back to us.
Oh boy. So that's the motive, right? Meg learns in the previous scene that her mom is not making enough money to pay for her school. With that money that the family could have gotten, she would be able to go to the school that she clearly wants to go to, because in the previous scene she defended Marta. She said, hey, listen, Harlan gave the money to Marta, that's fair. That's what he wrote, that's how it is. Until it became about her. Selfish. The whole family is just selfish. If you look at the camera angle, if you look at Marta here, think of yourself as the camera. You're a little bit below her, and Marta's a little bit above in the frame. So what that is telling us right now is that she's holding power, which is what I said in the beginning with the bottles, right? She's holding power. She has all of the power right now. She has the fate of the family. She has the fate of Ransom.
Granddad always took care of us. You know, we're his family.
Close-up shots are intimacy, and it gives you this feeling of being inside and with that character. So right now we're with Ransom. Before watching the movie all the way through, you might be understanding his point. His point was that his family are crappy people. So now we're getting this close-up shot of him, and we're learning that even Meg is turning against Marta, and that's only proving his point. After watching the movie all the way through, we learn that he's the murderer, right? So this close-up shot is telling us that his plan is coming along, right? And this is just proving it, and this is really gonna dig it in for her. That's why his arm is here on his face like that. He's banking on this moment that it happens. There's just a lot going on for him, and if this doesn't happen, then his plan falls flat.
I know he was like family to you, but we're his actual family.
Oh boy, oh boy. All right, so this is my favorite, one of my favorite shots, and you've seen it in The Great Gatsby, you've seen it in plenty of Hitchcock movies, and you've seen it in any movie. But I think that this shot fits this movie so well, just because it's a motif. It's a motif in the movie. You know, it just puts more emphasis on that family, and it puts more emphasis on Meg, and this puppetry that's going on, right? So we get this like shot of just her eyes, right? Everything else is in shadow, and we have just her eyes. Eyes typically mean a window into the soul. It makes everything so vulnerable. It makes you feel vulnerable. She can't be trusted. She cannot be trusted, and the family can't be trusted. You just know that it's wrong, right? But a motif is something that adds to the story. It follows along. It follows this theme. One of the motifs in this movie is eyes. All right, we see eyes all over. We see in the portrait of Harlan, we see her eyes. We see there's this one scene with a giant poster, and it was just eyes. They're all over this movie. You, the viewer, are seeing what's going on. It's commenting on the detective and his knowledge. He sees the blood stain on the shoes from the very beginning of the movie and knew that she was guilty, or not guilty, that there was a murder.
Right. Marta.
Mom's broke.
She says I'm gonna have to drop out of school.
No, Meg. Listen, I won't let that happen.
Whatever money you need, I'll give it to you. I'm here for you. And
Alright, so now Meg just reveals that her mom is broke, and Marta once again is being a compassionate human being, a caring human being. And we look at Meg right here, and what does her eyes do? They shut. This is defeatedness. This is, man, this person really is above me. This person really holds a power. This is her moment of feeling guilty. That's why her eyes are closed. A general rule of thumb is that if you need to focus on something in a frame, focus on the eyes, right? If the eyes are in focus, everything else can be out of focus, because that is a connection. You can't see any part of Meg. It's dark, it's shadowy. The only things you're looking at are her eyes. But now for the entire shot, that connection, that focus is closed. That says that she's closed off, that she's feeling guilty. It takes us out of that connection. That whole shot, her eyes are closed. Great. Stop, because that's great. And then, what'd she do? She turns, she looks at this family, this puppetry that's going on. They're all watching her. She feels guilty. That's not Meg. That's the family. That's the family's work. And we have this perfectly composed shot as well of the family. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about paintings and Renaissance paintings later on, probably. Just take a look at the shot, right? Look at the family and how they're composed within each other. Who holds the most power? Look at the lighting, look at the colors. And then we have the music. Music is also not on accident. No one just goes and says, this movie, I love this song, I'm gonna throw it into the movie, I think this is great. No one does that. They choose music because it helps progress the story or helps tell about a character. So we have this song. Feels like I'm winning where I'm losing again. That shows they're all feeling this. The family is using this puppetry again with Meg. They feel like they're winning, but are they really winning? We have Marta, who, you know, might feel like she's winning, or she technically is winning, right? She has all of this power, she has all of this money, but she's losing, or she feels like she's losing. And especially with Ransom, he feels like he's winning. Is in the end, does he win? No, he loses.
Identifiable prints?
Look at these bottles. These bottles are going right back into frame. Why? 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 Look at the tallest bottle here. Look at that tallest bottle. Who holds the power? But do you understand how that one scene, that scene's a little more than 4 minutes, and it tells us so much about the characters and what's going on, and who holds what power, how each character is feeling, and the manipulation, and the puppetry, and the empathy, and you, the audience, is being manipulated when you first watch this movie. And within that 4-minute scene, you learn so much. And I guess that's why there's a lot of great scenes in this movie. I felt like that one, it just exposes so much. It exposes so much. A lot of the movie is in that one scene. Yeah.